Hey, baby, you want baby? I know that. Saul Canelo Alvarez have some shame. Canelo Alvarez, it is now being reported that he wants to fight Edgar Berlanga next, and he's finalizing a deal to make that fight happen. It is now official that Boxing Ego was 1,000% right about Canelo Alvarez. The man has no shame. ESPN is reporting sources Canelo is finalizing a fight with Edgar Berlanga. Canelo, boxing's top star, is in the process of finalizing a deal for super middleweight defense against Edgar Berlanga September 14th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Mexico's Alvarez is undisputed at 168, but it's possible the IBF won't be on the line because his mandatory defense is overdue, sources said. Canelo Berlanga is going to go head-to-head with UFC 306. Alvarez, 34, is ESPN's number 5 pound for pound, all-time great, yada, yada, yada. He's won 4 titles. Let's skip past all that. Alvarez missed his preferred Mexican Independence Day weekend fight last year when he defended and defeated Jermell Charlo in late September, but now returns to the holiday. He has headlined 6 times. PBC will lead the event on Prime Video pay-per-view with Matchroom involved as Berlanga's promoter, sources said. The pay-per-view will also be on DAZN, Matchroom's streaming partner. It will be Canelo's 3rd consecutive fight with PBC. Now, needless to say, you know what it is at this point. Canelo does not want no smoke with David Benavidez. I don't care what none of y'all say. Canelo wants no smoke with David Benavidez. Let's think about it. So the Cinnabons, the Canelo man fans, they're saying that Canelo's the face of boxing and he can pick and choose who he wants, yada, 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 but he never picks and chooses David Benavidez. But now he wants to fight Edgar Berlanga. So for the second time in a row, it's just bizarre stuff, people, and I'm gonna break it down. This is the second time in a row that Canelo is fighting a non-PBC guy on PBC. So what am I talking about? Canelo's last fight was against Jaime Munguia, who was at the time with Golden Boy. He just signed with Top Rank and his existing promoter from Mexico, Zanfer Promotions. But that was a DAZN fighter, you know, and he's not gonna be a DAZN fighter now because he's signed with Top Rank, but he was a DAZN fighter. So when Munguia was with DAZN, Canelo fought him. Now he's fighting another guy, Edgar Berlanga, who is a DAZN fighter. That's why the fight, instead of it just being on PBC pay-per-view, they got to make it on DAZN and pay-per-view on PBC. So it's just weird business. And if he fought David Benavidez, it would be a massive fight. Everybody wants to see it. It's more meaningful. And he's choosing Berlanga. Now, I know the Cinnabons, and I'm 15 steps ahead of them. So I know what they're thinking. They're like, oh, David Benavidez told the WBC that he's going to campaign at 175. You know why? Because he's moving on with his career, because he's clearly aligned with the same people in PBC, and he sees that Canelo is playing games and trying to fight Berlanga and ain't really trying to fight him for real. He just moved up to 175 in the interim to fight Vodstick, and now he's just going to campaign there. And from what he says, he's going to look for the Bevo Better Biev winner. So he'll probably take a stay busy fight or something in between that, because that fight had to get rescheduled. And you can't really blame Benavidez. Some people, like the Canelo man fans, they're using this as, oh, see, David Benavidez really doesn't want the fight because why is he staying at 175? But you're omitting the whole complete fact that Canelo could have picked him for September and he would have made the 168. But this is what Canelo, he never wanted to fight Benavidez, right? I mean, just look at, since he's done this deal with PBC, he fought Jermell Charlo, who was undisputed at 154 pounds, brought him up to 168. So 2 weight classes, you brought the man up. It was an uneventful fight because you had an undersized person in there. Then you fought a DAZN fighter that I mentioned earlier, Munguia, it was an uneventful fight and it was one-sided, and now you're fighting Berlanga and they're going to try to build it as like, oh, he has power. But legit, Berlanga has never faced anyone even near Canelo. He's been fighting Irish people with Eddie Hearn. Know that you're thinking, yeah, a magically delicious lad. Like, you know, he's fighting Lucky Charm, leprechauns and stuff that nobody's really asked for. And now you're just gonna shoot up and jump up to the alleged face of boxing, someone who's experienced, someone with like 60 plus fights, and people are supposed to be sold on it, versus a fight with David Benavidez. He had all these demands like, oh, give me, first he said 150 to 200,000 or 200 million, excuse me, to make it happen. Then he took off the 150 and said he needs 200 million to fight David Benavidez. So he's basically pricing himself out. David Benavidez is aware of this, so he's like, F that. Canelo really don't want to fight me. He keeps talking about I'm 25 pounds heavy, and he's picking everybody but me, smaller guys, inexperienced guys at this level. He doesn't really want to fight, and it's sad because Canelo is holding the belts hostage. So I'm glad the IBF is likely to strip him before the Berlanga fight. And the Canelo fans are the worst in the sport of boxing, or at least they're some of the worst, because these fools will be in the comment section trying to defend Canelo, and they'll say stuff like, oh, at the time at 54 and 60, they'll say Big Charlo or Andrade, or at 68, Benavidez. They'll say all these guys don't deserve Canelo opportunities and they don't deserve a chance to fight Canelo. But then John Ryder, Avni Yildirim, and now Berlanga, they really did all, and then they mysteriously get Canelo fights, and people are supposed to be happy with it. So everything the Canelo base stands for is cap. They say all these other guys like Benavidez are undeserving of a Canelo fight in sweepstakes, and then Canelo fights lesser accomplished people. You can't make this stuff up. Finally, you got Canelo Alvarez, who is now, UFC is stepping on his toes. They don't even care that Canelo's fighting in the same city, and they're doing the first ever card in the Sphere, and Canelo has to compete against that. So Canelo is at the point where people are just losing money even dealing with Canelo because he doesn't want to do what's right. It's really pathetic. And then some people had the audacity to say he's the greatest fighter of all time, or the greatest Mexican fighter of all time even. Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, and a whole lot of people have something to say about that.